Welcome back to Free Speech Nation with me, Josh Howie. My comedian guests again are Nicholas Santo and Jonathan Kogan. We're going to go straight to... No applause for you. Let's enjoy your gigs in Sweden and Israel. Switzerland, sorry. So our first question is from Sean.
Should teenagers offend?
Yeah, should teenagers offend? So this is a GCSE citizenship revision guide. Tells pupils they have a civic duty to use free speech, but avoid offending others. The material has sparked backlash from free speech campaigners who say it encourages cancel culture in schools. So, Sean, the whole point of free speech is that it does allow to offend and upset, and you just kind of have to deal with it, unfortunately.
Well, yes, but I'm a big fan of free speech. But when I was growing up, if you said what you really meant back in Ireland, you would not be getting much free speech. You'd be getting a clip around the ear. But like I say, this day and age, of course, that's free speech is under threat everywhere. So,
and seemingly from our schools, Jonathan. This is what 16-year-olds are being taught. Don't offend people, essentially. Don't offend anybody.
Well,
and then who knows what that could possibly mean.
Well, agree. Well, first of all, the point of being a teenager is to offend. You know, you want to be subversive, you want to be countercultural. At that age, that is, you know, that's one of the driving forces. Do I think...
When are you going to grow out of it, Jonathan?
And I finally get pubic hair. That's fine, I looked it up on Ofcom, it's fine. Yeah, what do I think? That was offensive to some. To people who have alopecia of the groin. It's basically, what am I talking about? Nicholas, what's your hot take on today?
But this is not, it's not good to be teaching teenagers that make sure you... Free speech is good, just don't offend anybody.
Listen to this. Education Secretary Bridget Phillipson says this is part of a plan to enable students to step boldly into the future. But at the same time, they are telling teenagers not to step on any toes. So she was asked, are you about free speech or not? And she said, we are about free speech, but you know what we are more committed to? Irony.
See, this government doesn't get irony. I should also say this textbook, the same one, also says that discrimination is to provide lavatories only for men and women, basically breaking the law as we've seen it. And it seems like they got advice from Stonewall, and this is why they've implemented some of these policies anyway.
And like you say, who gets to decide what's offensive? That could be offensive to a lot of people. You know, that is, like you say, it comes with the territory of free speech.
It's more brainwashing for our teenagers, rather than teaching them just a bit of resilience, would be the other side of the...
And then next month or so, or in a couple of years, we expect them to embrace arms and weapons, take weapons and go fight Russia. You know, it's a bit confusing.
Yeah, but they'll do it with hurty words. Anyway, another Pearson spokesperson said, or Pearson...
Who's Pearson?
Pearson, he's the son of Peer, the publisher. They published the textbook, Pearson Publishers. Anyway, they regularly reviews its content to ensure it remains accurate and aligned with curriculum requirements and relevant government guidance. Well, look, our next question's from Chris.
Why are toddlers so racist?
Why are toddlers so racist? Well, this is guidance backed in Wales, urges childcare workers to report racist incidents in nurseries to police if they may amount to hate crimes. It has sparked criticism, with some arguing it pushes over-reporting, while officials say most cases would be handled internally. Now, obviously your kids are very racist. Do you get reports?
They don't follow my YouTube channel, so they are not ready. But I've always said, I've had two toddlers. One of them is no longer as a toddler. They say they grew up so slow, right? But I've always said toddlers aren't racist, babies aren't racist, children aren't racist. They become racist when they learn to read crime statistics. So I think this is a non-issue.
You would very much be reported.
That's why I'm going to Switzerland and stay there, or Israel.
So, I mean, Jonathan, this is...
I want to hear more from Nicholas. No.
But this is... I raised my kids, and you don't want them to see difference in these things. And so
Yeah.
if they are coming in all seriousness,
That's
if
what they
they
call
are
you
saying
mummy.
something that is racist, it's coming obviously from the parents.
You've got to assume so, yeah. I mean,
But that's not. But that's not why you should report the child to the police.
Well, it said you should report children or toddlers doing hate crimes. Now, I did once sort of babysit my young nephew who ate a bad muffin, and I can only say that was a hate crime what he did to the carpet. But we don't need to go into that too much. Yeah, it's insane. It's not like
No, but that's because he did blackface afterwards.
Oh yeah. You watch Nicholas's YouTube channel.
Well, look, our next question is from Anton.
Is dyslexia a disability?
Is dyslexia a disability? Well read, Anton. Passengers with dyslexia, ADHD and autism can access priority boarding, lounges and fast-track airport services without needing proof of diagnosis. The scheme has sparked concern over self-diagnosis and alleged misuse, with critics warning of hidden disability perks being exploited. So basically, you get this little lanyard. We all love a lanyard in this country, don't we? And it sort of gets you, and you can get in drink-free champagne.
Available on the internet for as little as £1.50, and all these influencers are teaching people how to milk this as much. It wasn't enough being benefit cheats, but now people are airport lounge cheats, right? And I think the whole idea about priority boarding or lounges is for people with kids or physical disability or elderly people, because they need more time to settle into their seats and put their baggage up and all that. If you are dyslexic, your biggest challenge is not to mix up Bombay for Pompeii, for example, as it happens in Italy more than you'd like, or we have a city, we have Carpi, which is a tourist gem, and we have it was happening to me. Capri, which is a tourist gem, and we have Carpi, which is a dump. I mean, by Italian standards, it's a dump. So it happens in Italy. But by the time you have got to the boarding phase, there's no need to get priority boarding.
But it's people exploiting this. I think it's also in some amusement parks. They've got the same thing. You can get fast track. But there's people who are saying, "Oh, I've got dyslexia. Oh, I've got ADHD."
Well, I mean, I was actually recently diagnosed with ADHD. About a minute ago when I heard about this by myself. So, yeah, I mean, obviously people are going to take advantage of it. It's a funny thing to do. I'd probably do that to get into a lounge when I was younger. It's just, obviously, it's a system that is being...
All right, well...
All it takes is a quiz on Facebook or BuzzFeed and...
You don't even need that. You just need to buy the lanyard. Well, look, our final question is from Delight.
My question is, should white people be allowed into senior role at the New York Times racist?
Yes. So should white people be allowed into senior roles at the New York Times? This is the EEOC complaint alleges the New York Times discriminated against a white male editor in a hiring decision favouring diverse candidates. The NYT rejects the claim, calling the process merit-based and describing the lawsuit as politically motivated. So what a coincidence that the man who had 12 years experience in that particular field lost out to a person of colour who... but it certainly wasn't anything to do with the field that he was applying for.
When I was at the BBC, they had, and they still probably have, this 50-50 policy. It's called 50-50, which they followed religiously. They said, no matter what, we try to have at least 50% women on camera for whatever argument you are, or topic you are looking for a guest. But always the most qualified person gets on there. But shouldn't we have both of those statements? So isn't it surprising? Because these organizations like New York Times, they openly set these targets for themselves in terms of diversity, like women, people with disability, marginalized, this and that. And then, surprise, surprise, that candidate ends up getting the job.
Well, we also try and have a 50-50 policy, but unfortunately no women would come on with you, Nicholas. So we had to drop it.
To be fair, I thought it was going to be Paul Cox when I turned up today. And
this is interesting because this is racism. This is someone who doesn't get the job because of their ethnicity. And this is also the pushback, and that's also very interesting.
The lying New York Times. That's what we call it.
Yeah,
The lying New York Times. I'll be honest, I didn't quite get to this story. But yeah, I think it's completely insane. Everything should be a meritocracy. The whole world should be a meritocracy. And can't we all just get along and love each other, Nicholas?
Okay.
Josh, audience.
As a white male, you don't get the job because you didn't read that particular...
Actually, I read on Twitter, I'm Jewish, so I'm not white.
Okay,
so
fine.
that's fun.
Right, next on Free Speech Nation, a new report reveals Islamist anti-Semitism is a major but under-recognised driver of radicalisation. I knew it, but we're going to find out about the numbers. See you in 2 minutes. You do not want to miss this exclusive.